Here we have a substitute teacher, and he's going to talk about his first week, or what's it, first day of school, and he's going to find out that these kids coming up are in trouble. So let's hear it from him. Let's hear it from him.
I thought y'all was lying to me on this app when y'all said that these kids didn't know nothing. These kids don't know shit. Like nothing, nada. They don't know basic math like addition, subtraction, division, fractions, multiplication. They don't know none of that. And it's really sad. They can tell you what a gay person is, what's bisexual, what they did he do, what kind of gun this is, who sang this song, the lyrics to that, and they know all of that. They know what studs and dykes is, but they don't know what basic math is. Parents, what are y'all doing? Y'all are failing y'all kids. It is not on these teachers. All that they're doing there is talk, play around, horse around. Y'all got work to do. Like, I'm not understanding, and they don't even understand why they don't understand. And that's more confusing. Like, what? I thought y'all was lying to me on this.
This is kind of funny though, but I say this is a twofold type of problem. Number one, the teachers are not. Let's keep it a bug. The teachers, they're people say that the teachers are underpaid. I say that they're overpaid. That's number one, because a lot of these teachers, they're not that smart themselves. Now, let's get to the parents. This is the consequences of now decades of this thing where parents are having kids and they're just putting them straight into daycare and then complaining that how much daycare costs. Right? So you have these kids being pushed in these daycares, these things. The daycare workers are doing God knows what, because I don't think people understand daycare workers. They just literally hire anybody to do that. like if people like actually understand who they were hiring for these janky daycare spots that they're charging the parents an arm and a leg for, parents would actually come up with a plan. But what's happening is you have both parents working now, and a lot of it, people could say it's the economy and this and etc., but really it's really both parents trying to offload the duty. Particularly women are offloading the duty of parenting and actually raising the kids to strangers and babysitters. They just don't want to do that. They just don't want to raise their own kids. So yes, the teachers are at fault. They don't want to admit their blame. That's a whole nother story. But we already know the first education doesn't come from an institution or elementary school, middle school, or daycare. The first education comes from at home. And it's just not there, because really men and women, but I'll stick with the women. Women have, they just don't want to raise their kids. They just simply don't want to raise the kids. They rather work. They want to work. They rather work for somebody that doesn't care about them than raise their kids. So you have these kids being raised. So I'm talking about just decades now. We're talking about millennials, but I'll say, yeah, particularly younger millennials, and then a whole Gen Z, right? And now Gen Alpha coming up, where they're just so used to being raised around strangers. So what happened? You had like Gen X. They were basically kind of raised by themselves, right? They had. It's not that they were around strangers. Their parents would just leave them home by themselves, right? And then same thing with the older millennials, and then with the millennials and the younger millennials, just babysitter to babysitter, stepfather to cousin to everybody, where they're basically being, the Gen Z basically being raised by iPad and Instagram and social media, MySpace, right? Twitter, being raised by everybody except their parents, right? So The media has molded their mind. The powers that may be have molded their mind into something. So it's not uncommon. It's like not uncommon to run into one of these little kids where they know all the dance moves, they know all the TikTok dance moves, but they don't know how to add, they don't know how to subtract, they don't know the basics. And this is all done by design. All done by design. Okay. One of the turning points for me was I think 2017. I had went to see the birthday. I went to a birthday party to see my cousin's daughter. Right, she had a birthday party, and yeah, it was great to see the family and whatever. Seeing my cousin celebrate, the birthday of her daughter. Great to see everybody. I was in college at that time. But what was interesting, I was seeing these kids, they knew all the dances, Negro kids, like all black kids, all little black kids at this party. All of these little kids, they knew all the dance moves, they knew all the lyrics. Watch me whip, watch me nay nay. All this stuff, you ugly, you your daddy son, all these dance moves, bro. I said these kids know all these moves, boy. They know all them. They know all these moves. That was interesting, man. That was very interesting, and seeing that, and I'm like, this is the new generation now. And they were like, what? These kids was like, what, 4, 5 years old? How old was the young girl then? I think, yeah, they was like 5, yeah, 5 years old, right at that kindergarten, elementary stage. I'm like, well, there's our future right there. So those kids are now what? They got to be in middle school now. Yeah, they got to be in middle school right now. So now they're or entering high school as we speak. So like I said, Gen Alpha, they coming up. They know all the dance moves. They know Kim Kardashian. They know they know Sexy Red. We seen those videos of them little girls in them daycares in these spots. But like I said, millennial parents have, I'll say Gen X parents to a lesser extent, but millennial parents, and now we're going to see Gen Z parents do these same things. But millennial parents and Gen X parents have completely sold their kids out. They chose career, they chose work over raising their kids. And then we can blame the economy all we want to, but the way men and women have flooded the workplace and prioritized that over raising kids, and they just can't understand why. Why this daycare is charging a premium now? Because they know you guys are going to need it. They have there's I guess there's no grandparents that want to help out, or they don't have that same relationship with their parents. So once they do have a kid, there's no grandparents to go to, so they have to do daycare. And the way people use daycare now, they act like daycare is a necessity or necessary. Daycare used to be it's supposed to be a last ditch solution, or if you are using daycare, you're only using it for a temporary time. It's not supposed to be part. It's like daycare is not supposed to be part of the plan. The only way you're supposed to really use a daycare or is if you're like in a situation where you could put your kids in a Montessori, or there's a situation where a magnet school has a system in place where all those kids that are in that same daycare, they end up growing up together and being in the same classrooms in kindergarten, first to fifth grade, et cetera, et cetera. That makes sense, right? But in terms of the normal daycare stuff, just like the way that people just automatically assume it's not supposed to be a part of the plan. It's supposed to be something that you use as a last ditch effort if there's nobody else that can help you. But this is what Americans have done. So I believe this is the reason why you're seeing these kids growing up. Oh yeah, and also women are doing the primary caretaking now. or how, let me actually rephrase that. It's now more normal to see, single mother households, right? So now you're seeing a lot of these kids, they are missing like just the basics, because it's not because the daddy's not there, but because the mom is there, if that makes sense. We got to stop blaming the absentee father. If what single father has the what single father has the grace of being able to blame the absentee mother if the kid he's taking care of is not doing well in life? So we got to stop doing this. But this is why the kids are it's a culmination of all these things together, and this is why the kids are where they are today, right? But that's just, that is just like TD Jake said, that is my point of view. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'm gone.